Energy is the key to both lock and unlock the blood proteins. They lock when the energy comes out and unlock when we bring the energy back in. When the energy comes out of a cell environment, the blood proteins lock, making them difficult to be removed by simply activating lymphatic vessels. This is discovery number 6. And discovery number 7 is when we put the energy back in, they unlock. So discovery 6 and 7 of the 7 golden discoveries Dr. West taught are about energy, how the blood proteins lock and unlock. This is a huge secret to traditional Chinese medicine and all energy modalities. This reveals the truth that so many scientists have been searching for. We aren't talking about a lot of energy, just the amount the cells normally produce, which is a very subtle amount of energy. The sodium-potassium pump only produces about 0.7 to 0.9 millivolts, but it is measurable scientifically. This is why we can use the energy our own bodies produce without it costing us one dime once we learn how. This is a major key mechanism. If all you use is energy, or all you do is activate the vessels, either one by itself, you can get results, but often limited to results. We combine energy to unlock the proteins and activate the lymphatic vessels to pull them out. When you do things properly, it's like magic combination, and you crack the code for healing. This is also what causes rigor mortis when someone dies, and it's what makes a cancer tumor hard. We've had tumors the size of tennis balls reduced to the size of a tiny marble in 15 minutes. We can't make claims on what will happen to anybody who has a tumor. We especially can't guarantee to cure anyone from cancer. We just say, come and experience it because the results speak louder than we can legally. But let's line everybody up one at a time and show you what happens. We're used to doing this. We've been doing this a long time, and we're not going to guarantee results at all. We abide by all the rules of the regulatory boards in what we say, because it's for educational purposes only. Whatever results people get is just a bonus, and the results speak for themselves. One of the challenges, most of the changes that people make, like the deep breathing exercises or changes they make in their heart, we can't do that for anybody anyway. Everybody stand up again, raise your arms above your head, and take some more deep breaths, and do a very small, tiny bounce. This helps keep our brain active too, and keeps our energies up. Gives you a little break from sitting down. Go ahead and sit back down now. With reflexology or zone therapy, locked blood proteins cause the bump in the bottom of the foot, which relates to an organ, because there are lymphatic vessels that go from the organs to the bottom of the feet and in the hands. When the organ is flooded with water, it'll swell the lymphatic vessel up all the way to the hand and the foot. And the dark spot in the eye with iridology, they always go from the colon with the eyes, and there are more lymph vessels in the colon than any other part of the body. They purify the nutrients before the lymph system dumps them in the blood, and they also dump the trash from the organs. Every organ has an exit orifice where a lymph vessel takes the garbage and dumps it from there directly into the colon. This is why if the colon is plugged up, the organs can't drain properly. When you look at the chart, when the blood proteins lock around the cells, they also lock through the blood capillary vessel. So there isn't any blood flowing through that vessel anymore. Remember how we used the balloon as an example. After you get the initial bulge started, it makes it so much easier to blow up the rest of the balloon. Another mechanism for the degenerative diseases is that minerals also start falling out of solution as the energy comes out. This causes calcification associated with arthritis in the joints, cataracts in the eyes, and hardening of the arteries with atherosclerosis. Now I take you past a medical school level of understanding high blood pressure, which is associated with the number one killer, heart failure, cardiovascular disease. Number one, locked blood proteins create a positive pressure around the cells rather than a healthy negative pressure or subpressure, thus add a direct pressure on the bloodstream. Number two, the blood proteins then lock through the blood capillary vessels, causing a back pressure in the bloodstream. Number three, the muscles around the arteries and veins contract in lack of oxygen, further increasing blood pressure. Number four, the muscles contracting in other parts of the body can also increase blood pressure from the various areas. Neck muscles increase blood pressure directly in the head to contribute to headaches. Number 5, the mechanisms relating to the thickening of blood, such as red blood cells flattening and stacking, as well as number 6, as energy comes out of various areas, the minerals fall out of solution and deposit inside the vessels and further block the normal flow of blood, and thus increasing blood pressure. Number 7, as free radicals start to attack the blood vessels, basically shredding them up, and the cholesterol goes in to patch up the damage, this is also part of the plaque buildup inside the vessels associated with atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, which is the beginning of the heart failure. All of this also contributes to the formation of clots and increases high blood pressure. Congratulations, you're now beyond the understanding of any medical school has to offer when it comes to the cause of high blood pressure and related issues. You didn't have to spend 10 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. The term Dr. Ez uses is, it's sort of been handed to you on a silver platter. An important note, some of the same mechanisms which can also cause low blood pressure, depending on how it happens in the body. If free radicals rip up the blood vessels without cholesterol going in to patch up the damage, we would lose blood pressure until we just bleed to death even faster. So cancer. Next slide. Dr. Otto Warburg, MD, Nobel Prize winner. For his 1966 lecture at the annual meeting of Nobelists in Lindau, Germany, he presented the prime cause and prevention of cancer. His discovery 50 years ago, cancer cells live off the fermentation of glucose due to lack of oxygen. How important is it to know how the blood proteins produce the lack of oxygen? When you take the food away from the cancer, what do you think happens? Slide again. Next slide. The military cells of the body, our defense and fighter cells, are our white blood cells and lymphocytes, which are made up of white blood cells. Like all healthy cells, they must have glucose and oxygen, as explained, to turn on their basic life process. Glucose, which is sugar, without oxygen, sits and ferments. Fermented sugar is the food for cancer, harmful viral, bacterial, and all the bad guys. Microorganisms become parasitic in that environment. So in the cancer environment, where cancer lives, we can see there is lack of oxygen, and the healthy cells shut off, including our defense system, our immune system. Our lymphatic system is actually our immune system, and it is our purification system. Next slide. Did you know?
Did I go too far?
I think so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, let's go. There it is. Did you know that everyone has candida? It's part of the food that the healthy bacteria, friendly microbes, friendly flora, they keep just enough around so they don't go hungry. They live on it. And in a healthy environment, the candida is actually kept at a safe, balanced level. So the candida doesn't grow out of control. But over in the disease environment of the chart, over there with the swelling and lack of oxygen, the good guys shut off and the bad guys use that as their fort. All of a sudden, that's their garrison, fortress, where they make their home. That's where they take off out of control. No checks and balances. This is also leaky gut when it happens in the digestive tract. The cells get pushed further and further apart. Then you got some extra complications, such as normal food that has larger poisons that doesn't normally pass through the digestive wall. All of a sudden, with leaky gut, they do pass through. With leaky gut, you can develop allergic reactions to all kinds of food that would normally be healthy for you. This is what we know is happening to people. Genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are also responsible for a lot of problems people are having with a gut like this. The blood is 91% water, which is held by 3 types of blood proteins: albumin, smallest; fibrinogen, and globulin, largest. These blood proteins are a water magnet. The blood protein we're mainly concerned with is albumin, which is the smallest of the 3. However, about 70% of the blood protein is albumin. Slide. When you crack an egg open, you're looking at a single cell surrounded by albumin and water. That's what's around your own cells. That's lymph fluid. Nature is full of maps. slide. We're back to the healthy disease chart now. The chart, there we go. Nature is full of maps. We naturally lose the entire albumin content from the blood every 24 hours as they are small enough to seep through the tiny blood capillary pores under positive pressure into the sub-pressure space around the cells. As soon as the albumin leaves the bloodstream with the water to the spaces around the cells, that clear fluid is called lymphatic fluid. And the lymph vessels and capillaries not only parallel the blood vessels and capillaries, lymph vessels also go up between the cells. The lymph vessels are even more extensive. This is why we have more lymph vessels than blood vessels and more lymph than blood. They're invisible to the naked eye, but it's the most subtle things that are the most powerful things. It's the things we don't see that are more important than the things we do see. Slide. There we go. From the beginning of recorded history, we've all been taught, and let's go, before I go on, let's just go ahead and read the quote from Albert Einstein here. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein. What a genius. Really fits with what we're talking about now. From the beginning of recorded history, we've all been taught to put a principle or principles into action and get the fruit. Until we know whether it's about life or death, pleasure or pain, or when everything has its opposite. We know what it is. Science says put a law or laws into action and measure the result. So we're basically all scientists. It's how we learn and develop. Most things are discovered intuitively long before they're proven scientifically, and there are still many unanswered questions, yet dots continue to be connected. Cerebral spinal fluid, CSF, is clear fluid that bathes the nervous system, the brain, and spinal cord. Along with albumin, CSF also has fibrinogen, blood protein. Dr. Ez calls CSF lymph for the brain. And doctors have said, we're just not supposed to. Well, the medical community has been taught, we're just not supposed to, or you just don't. This is sort of a common medical theme, or hypnosis, and it doesn't always follow logic. Dr. Ez met several wonderful doctors at the 1995 Congress of Lymphology in Brazil. One surgeon in particular we'll call Dr. J. Dr. Ez asked Dr. J, why don't they call CSF lymph for the brain? And Dr. J said, you just don't put them together. Dr. Ez persisted, why not? And Dr. J ended up using the following example, which demonstrates the way much of the medical community has been trained to think. He said, in one stream, you have fishes for albumin. In another, you have fishes and turtles for albumin and fibrinogen. You just don't put them together. Well, it's obvious that some people have a tough time putting things together. When asked why not, they just repeat, you just don't, or we're just not supposed to, which is their reason, as if it's one of their rules, even if it's not based on any actual law of nature. We're just not supposed to. Very scientific? What do you think? Well, it may be best just to look at them and think to yourself, okay, that's an interesting point of view, and move on, letting them be. It hasn't been the doctor's fault. We know the history of difficulties they've been through, and it appears there's been a perfect plan for medical doctors who've wanted greater levels of empowerment and freedom for themselves, their families, and their clients. For decades, doctors have been taught there are no lymphatic vessels around the brain. Yet, for the past 40 years, Dr. West and Dr. Ez have taught that everywhere you have blood vessels, the lymphatic vessels parallel them, even in the brain. At least 2 recent studies and several articles published in scientific journals have shed new light, proving lymphatic vessels do exist in the brain after all. The first one we found to be on August 15, 2012, a University of Rochester Medical Center, and another with some of the same doctors involved, June 1st, 2015, through University of Virginia. It was published in Nature magazine, revealing lymph vessels in the brain. That the main lymph vessel parallels the main blood vessel called the superior sagittal sinus. So according to new studies, we have a new body part that we didn't have before. However, Dr. West and Dr. Ez have been teaching it for the past 40 years. And they want to call it glymphatics with a G in front, but we'll still call it lymphatic. Even parts of the teeth that don't have blood or lymph vessels do have lymph channels carved into them, as if they're carved. They're not, but they do have lymph channels that lead to lymph vessels. So where there is no blood flow, there is still lymph flow. Lymphatics from the shoulders down work against gravity. However, from the neck up, they have gravity working for them, which may account for some differences in structural anatomy and physiology in the head. At least that's yet another theory of Dr. Ez. It does show that a lot of science is coming out of the closet, especially in the past few years. The newer discoveries also support the theory of Dr. Ez that CSF is actually lymph for the brain. The clear fluid around the cells is lymphatic fluid in every part of the body. Slide. One major game changer happening right now to help set medical doctors free, along with the rest of us, is the revolutionary new science on NRF2 activation. NRF2 is what regulates all the disease mechanisms we've been discussing genetically. It's a protein you were born producing that regulates about 3,000 genes, each of them responsible for producing a different protein or enzyme, each adding different functionality. But it encompasses all the anti-inflammatory proteins like C-reactive protein, super antioxidant enzymes like superoxide dismutase, SOD, and glutathione, antifibrotics, scar tissue, apoptosis, programmed cell death, every gene associated with every type of cancer, the whole spectrum, virtually 100%, according to the world's largest gene database called Ingenuity in Japan. So every drug that has been invented prior to NRF2 activation has only targeted one gene at a time, and NRF2 does all 3,000 disease mechanism genes perfectly without all the negative effects of all the countless drugs. The first NRF2 symposium was January 15th in Europe, and we have a NRF1 activator being released in May that's going to give us yet different functionality as well. So that hasn't even been released yet. Slide. Oxidative stress, known as free radical damage, is the main aspect of the aging process and a major mechanism of all degenerative diseases. With the popular ORAC scale model, which is getting antioxidants from the food we eat, one molecule can eliminate one free radical molecule and is then depleted. So you must start over, eating more and more. If you have a drink with an ORAC rating of 100,000, which is off the charts, or at least the ORAC charts, you would have to drink 10 per second every second to keep up with one molecule of superoxide dismutase, SOD, because SOD can eliminate 1 million molecules per second every second. If your drink only costs $1, since there are 86,400 seconds in every 24 hours, it would cost you $86,400 per day to keep up with only one molecule of SOD. And trillions of cells in your body are capable of producing SOD molecules through NRF2 activation. Slide. Before and after cleaning and exhaust is like before and after NRF2 activation. When ATP turns on the sodium-potassium pump, superoxide is what comes out the tailpipe. Superoxide is an oxygen molecule missing an electron. It's a byproduct from oxygen after turning on the electric generator. Superoxide is a main free radical because it's from the main life process in the body. Our body produces some of the same types of chemicals that a combustion engine in a car produces. Carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide are free radicals. This is perfectly normal and natural. We're also born with a way to neutralize the free radicals so they don't damage the healthy tissues in our body. Superoxide dismutase is an enzyme that we're all born producing. Each superoxide dismutase enzyme molecule can convert superoxide molecules back to healthy oxygen molecules at 1 million per second every second. When you consider the power of the mass, it's the most powerful mass for how the body works. Since NRF2 regulates the whole spectrum of super antioxidant enzymes that have this type of ability with different free radicals, NRF2 activation is therefore the most powerful oxygen therapy and anti-aging therapy we've ever understood. White blood cells and lymphocytes accelerate their life process and shoot out the superoxide free radical like a laser gun at cancer cells and other bad guys. And the superoxide is what dissolves the cancer cells. We've had video footage of this for decades, but didn't know so much about the science behind it all. The white blood cells and lymphocytes are supposed to be able to shoot out SOD enzymes to clean up the free radicals when they're done killing the bad guys, so they don't continue to destroy the healthy tissue in the surrounding areas. Otherwise, the free radicals do destroy the tissue in the surrounding areas, which is the mechanism for all the autoimmune disorders like diabetes, multiple sclerosis, celiac, rheumatoid arthritis, and Hashimoto disease, along with many others. New science has revealed that our NRF2 starts deactivating more and more after the age of 20 for the healthy people, sometimes earlier for others, depending on many stress factors such as mental, emotional, nutritional, physical, and spiritual loss. Cancer is the leading cause of death for children. Understanding what activates NRF2 is very important. Fasting is a NRF2 activator. How many of you have heard or seen amazing results of fasting? But how long can we fast? NRF2 activators can be found in some herbs which have been used in Chinese medicine, such as green tea, turmeric, milk thistle, ashwagandha, and bacopa. Also New Zealand pine bark, quercetin, and L-theanine. Even sulforaphane found in broccoli and cauliflower is a NRF2 activator. Some formulas work better than others. And to obtain effective NRF2 activation, we must have an effective formula. LifeVantage is a publicly traded company that has produced NRF2 activation formulas which have set all new records and really stand out from the rest of the crowd as far as what's been proven and published in medical journals. Dr. Ez and Thunder use LifeVantage as a fundraiser as well as for their products because they're the leader in NRF2 activation technology, and because only through NRF2 activation do our cells get the physical genetic tuning they need to function right. After the age of 20, that is, especially, which is a flip side of the same coin for everything else Dr. Ez teaches. Dr. West discovered how everything we think, say, and do with our lifestyle affects the health and disease mechanisms. And Dr. Joseph McCord is an Elliott Crescent Gold Medal recipient, co-discovered SOD about 50 years ago and discovered how NRF2 regulates SOD and all the disease mechanisms genetically. It's just a flip side of the same coin. Dr. Ez is teaching you the best of both worlds. Life is made up of systems, of principles, and processes. We have been developing solutions for everything we think, say, and do for our lifestyle, and now we have the solution for the genetic side of the disease mechanism. Diseases are named according to number one, who discovered it, because they want credit. Number two, where it is located, where the cells don't work. Most of us figure that out because of pain or because the body part stops working. And number three, which mechanisms are causing the problems. And number three is most important because if you reverse the mechanisms, can you reverse the disease? Then it doesn't matter so much who discovered it or where it was anymore. For example, when the white blood cells and lymphocytes can produce superoxide dismutase, the autoimmune mechanism is reversed and the autoimmune disorders start to disappear. So the key is shifting and reversing the disease mechanism. Just like when you take a deep breath, the lungs put pressure on the thoracic duct and make it shoot like a geyser. We don't have to guarantee it. We know it will happen. Getting good enough results depends on whether you understand and apply enough of the principle. Knowledge really is power. Slide. Looks like we missed a slide there. Oh yeah, we did. Sorry about that. So there we go. So that was a slide for disease names. Now we are on the GPS satellite system. The lymphatic system is like a high-tech GPS satellite system that can scan the insides of every building. All the maps, the face, eyes, ears, hands, and feet are maps because of the lymphatic system. The most intelligent cells of all, which have our perfect blueprints, are the adult stem cells, which can regenerate every part of the body, but are also what turn into our blood cells and lymphocytes. The most intelligent cells in the body. Your lymphocytes can scan the inside of every cell of your body. They're at the core of the lymphatic system, which purifies the nutrients from the digestive tract before it dumps them into the blood, which is why the whole digestive tract is lined with lymph nodes, and the further down you get, the higher the concentration of lymph nodes. This is also a key to understanding why we can access most of the energy in the body through the dantian, located around and below the navel. The lymphatic system is our immune system. It is our purification system. What a beautiful system to have. This is a secret hidden system, but no longer hidden from you. The way you look at things will never be the same. The principles we're teaching you are fundamental paradigm shifts, which enable people to create balance, accelerate expansion, and achieve greater empowerment as long as they follow the path of empowerment. Slide. Here's the basic formula for life and the basic formula for death. And there's also a 31-step equation that supplements this step by step. It's written in scientific terminology. We don't have time to cover it all right now. However, in our course, we explain each step in very simple terms so everyone can understand what they're looking at here. This shows how locked blood proteins are at the center of every degenerative disease. So is oxidative stress, which causes trapped blood proteins, like every other poison. Inflammation and oxidative stress are the biggest mechanisms out there for degenerative diseases, and they work in unison together to create diseases. Oxidative stress from the free radical damage starts out being the smallest hole in the bottom of your boat, but ends up being the biggest hole if you live long enough without nerve 2 activation technology. Slide. Slide. If the insulin-producing cells in the pancreas are in the disease environment, you don't produce insulin. If the insulin-producing cells are in the healthy environment, healthy condition we describe to you, you'll never have diabetes as long as you live. And if you bring them back into the healthy condition, you start producing insulin again. We don't tell anyone to stop taking their insulin because they could die very fast. But if they start producing insulin again, then they have to wean themselves off the synthetic product. There's a safe way to do things and an unsafe way to do things. 1 second. Go back. Go back. We recommend they have the help of their medical doctor just to cover all our bases. As we look this list of major diseases over, we've explained the cause of every disease on this list. Cancer, viral infections, bacterial infections, allergies and AIDS, high blood pressure, heart disease, hardening of the arteries, arthritis, cataracts, diabetes, MS, polio, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy. The name of the problem or disease means nothing anymore. Let's all repeat that. Everybody together. Ready? Some of you are muted. But the name of the problem or disease means nothing anymore. Slide. By 1993, Dr. Ez was helping zero-convert AIDS patients, which was right in the middle of the big AIDS scare. In 1995, at the ISL Congress of Lymphology in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Dr. West was honored to be the chairman over many doctors' presentations. Dr. Waldemar Olszewski was past president of the ISL in this photo, who was also an advisory board member of Dr. West. Dr. Ez was honored to present a couple poster presentations with his father, Dr. West, as chairman. Dr. Ez presented the cause of AIDS, how the HIV virus kills and how to stop it, and also how energy from various sources can activate lymphatics to heal the body. Everybody stand up again, raise your arms above your head, take some more deep breaths, do a very small, tiny bounce. We got to keep our lymphatic system moving here. And it also helps keep the brain working while we're moving. This is a pretty big presentation. Now go ahead and have a seat, back down now. Shock, also known as hypoalbuminemia, which means low albumin in the blood. Slide. Shock, also known as hypoalbuminemia, which means albumin in the blood. Nothing will dilate blood capillaries faster than fear. Fear is one of the fastest destroyers. The #1 cause of death in war still today is shock, even though most of the time it's from non-lethal flesh wounds. When soldiers get shot, they think, oh, I'm bleeding. My life force is leaving my body. I can't believe I just got shot. I'm going to die now. And the fear dilates the capillaries. As soon as they lose a positive pressure in the blood vessels collapse, leaving them dead on the spot. Same thing with sink or swim. In the story of people who jump off tall enough buildings when they say they were dead before they hit the ground, or they had enough time to think about it. How many people need to understand this? Faith is an intelligent force that casts out fear. 1953, 56, and 60, Encyclopedia Americana published shock research. Then it disappeared out of the encyclopedias. Right around the same time, Dr. Hyman Samuel Mearson was on the shock committee. Slide. Right around that same time, Dr. Hyman Samuel Mearson was on the shock committee. Scientific American, June 1963, Dr. H.S. Mearson tagged blood proteins with radioactive iodine and proved how fast they come out of the bloodstream, and how if the lymphatic system did not accomplish its job of removing them, disease and death would take place. On the lower right, it says Starling's hypothesis, which Ernest H. Starling developed by 1896. It's from the 1800s. One basic belief of this hypothesis, which Mearson proved as a myth, is that not much protein leaves the blood capillary. The continued widespread teaching of this myth from the 1800s is a basic element of what we call the medical dark ages. Slide. For sparking his interest in this matter, Mearson credits Cecil Kent Drinker of Harvard Medical School, who challenged Starling's myth in 1930. After numerous experiments, Drinker concluded the capillaries practically universally leak protein, and the blood or plasma protein level is maintained only because the lymphatic system picks up the protein and returns it to the bloodstream. Slide. And Mearson further explains, teachers and the writers of textbooks continue to maintain that healthy blood capillaries did not leak protein. It was in an effort to clarify this point that I undertook an investigation of lymph in the lymphatics some 15 years ago. So Mearson got started in 48 because of Drinker. Slide. This is the AMA's official journal. Your other am I right place? Hold on one second. This is, yeah. Today's Health, December 1964. This is the AMA's official journal. They published an article on Mearson's work called Your Other Circulatory System. Slide. This article reads, loss of blood proteins through capillary walls would be particularly disastrous. Recently, Dr. H.S. Mearson of Tulane Medical School tagged blood proteins with radioactive iodine, then measured the rate at which they pass into lymph vessels. Calculations indicated that half of our blood protein is lost from the blood every 24 hours. But for the prompt retrieval of the protein by the lymphatic system, this constant loss would spell swift catastrophe. If the lymphatic system did not carry a large portion of the remaining seepage back to the bloodstream, we would all bleed to death internally in a matter of hours. The last paragraph of this says, thus this great river of mystery may well hold the key to dozens of disease riddles. That is why it's getting ever increasing research attention. Inevitably, discoveries of vital importance to all will be made. Slide. Well, blood proteins leaving the bloodstream are not just the key to 2 or 3 dozen diseases. They hold the key to every degenerative disease there is. And this is the basic foundation. And discoveries of vital importance to all were made, but this is the last time the AMA printed this truth about it. From 1954 to June of 1966, Mearson published one paper every year in a scientific journal, with the exception of 55 and 63. He published 2 in 55 and 6 papers in 63, which was his real breakout year. The last one in November was in Circulation, the American Heart Association journal. The first one in 64 was again on the role of the lymphatic system in cardiovascular function. In 65, he published one, and in June of 66 was the last paper ever published by Mearson in a scientific journal. It's interesting, right when he was making headway, then he's gone all of a sudden, out of the picture. Just as interesting as Dr. McCord. He was giving live presentations in front of thousands of people every 3 months at the Life Vantage Convention. And then, just interesting enough, Right as he was making headway and getting the most attention, the last one he presented was on the Ingenuity database, the world's largest gene database, which shows the most incriminating evidence against the drug companies and how weak the drugs are, as well as the greatest answer to solve the genetic side of the equation. And all of a sudden, he's gone. He retired without any warning, without any statements, not even a last presentation to say goodbye to his favorite fans. No plan ever discussed. How common has this been for those who really threaten the status quo? Slide. International Society of Lymphology, ISL. 1966. This was the largest medical research project in history. With help of international military forces, all the top medical minds in the world who studied anything about blood proteins and water leaving the bloodstream and lymphatics were gathered together, even from behind the Iron Curtain, which was a big deal back then, of approximately 370 members, only about 65 from the United States. Most members were department heads of universities and medical schools. They also met in Dr. Marison's St. Louis home, and by 1966, founded the ISL with many founding members. July 1966 was their first Congress in Zurich. And when did we say Marison's last paper was published? June of 63. Then in July, the first Congress of the ISL. Marison could no longer publish in scientific journals because in the fine print of the Articles of Organization, whatever high-priced attorneys were gathered together to write those, they made it so it was not a pure medical society, technically. Even though they operate in every other way like a pure medical society, all their presentations are recorded. If there's any doubt whether they're true, they debate it like crazy. There's another basically rule of the medical establishment. If any doctor is participating in any organization that's not technically a pure medical society, they can no longer publish that research in the scientific journals. In 1967, Dr. West went back to school on faith with 6 kids and 4 more to come to become a doctor and teach people how to heal themselves. Originally, he was in pre-med and on track to become an osteopath, which practice in all areas of medicine but have a more holistic and preventive approach. One of his classmates got his license taken away right after getting it for teaching things they just didn't want taught. Dr. West knew they would never have that much control over him, so he switched his focus to chemistry. He got degrees in chemistry, a master's in public school administration, and went on to receive doctorate degrees as a naturopath and naturopath. He won Teacher of the Year awards all 7 years teaching chemistry, which is unusual because the students nominate it, and how many vote for their chemistry teacher? He discovered the sodium-potassium pump while teaching chemistry in 74. 1976, started lecturing on lymphology and the sodium-potassium pump full-time without charging admission in 200 cities per year. Already lecturing in 200 cities per year on lymphology, which no one in the world had ever done before, and having made some significant contributions himself, Dr. West was accepted as an ISL member at the 1979 Congress in Italy and was the first non-medical doctor ever to become a member. He had just discovered the existence of the ISL and their 1979 Congress through his first contact with Dr. Marison and other founding members on very short notice, and just knew he'd better show up at the Congress in Italy without even knowing how they'd respond to him. They meet in a different city, in a different country every 2 years. As they listened to Dr. West speak to them about lymphology, they said they'd been so busy looking down at the tiny measurable details, but hadn't bothered to look up to see the big picture in the special way he'd been able to. In 1974, Dr. West discovered the sodium-potassium pump, which first made it into a medical text in 1979 because Dr. Arthur C. Guyton was there in Italy listening to Dr. West in 79. Dr. Marison taught Guyton and gave some special lectures for Guyton students at University of Mississippi Medical School. And Guyton was the author of the medical textbook of physiology, and he didn't hesitate. He added information about the sodium-potassium pump to the textbook of medical physiology right away, which read, the sodium-potassium pump is an electrogenic pump because it generates electricity whenever it pumps. Guyton's medical textbook of physiology ended up becoming the most commonly used textbook of physiology in the United States because Dr. West was holding it up and quoting from it 200 cities per year for 17 years. before he even met Guyton in person, as it was the only one written by a lymphologist. Guyton discovered the dry state. At least he was the one to call it that after more highly defining it as a sub-pressure environment. Prior to that, it was called the steady state. And we still like to credit Guyton for his contributions, including his initial sub-pressure discovery. Slide. 1980, Dr. West wrote the scientific formulas and equations for life and death at the cell level with his physics background. Someone connected to the ISL was keeping tabs on him and found out about the formulas he wrote. The ISL asked him to present the scientific formulas for life and death at the Montreal, Canada Congress, which he did in 1981. The formulas were totally accepted without debate by the top medical minds in the world and have never been challenged since. They've always been completely accepted by top medical minds. However, they've not been taught in any public school or any medical school. The sodium-potassium pump that generates the power for cells to work is in the text, but not the formulas. And it's the formulas that explain what shuts it off and how we turn it back on again, which are the first questions, the first two questions Dr. West asked after he discovered the sodium-potassium pump, because it's the cause of the problems and secrets to the solution. Slide. Lymphatic Manifesto. In 1983, ISL past president, Australian Dr. John R. Castley-Smith wrote, of many millions who will suffer from widespread ignorance. Some will lose their lives, some will lose their limbs. Many will suffer needless pain and incapacity. Many research workers will get incorrect results. All of this through simple ignorance of the importance of the lymphatics. No other system is so neglected. A lot happened at the 1983 Congress in Tel Aviv, Israel. They had 2 years to think about the significance of the formulas Dr. West had presented, and 4 years to think about everything he'd revealed to them in Italy. And at that 1983 Congress, several of the greatest lymphatical medical scientists, founding members, and past presidents of the ISL were signing up to be on his advisory board, including Merson of the USA, Claudius of Switzerland, Olszewski from Poland, Dr. Degny from Brazil, and Zelikowski, the 1983 president of Israel. At the 1995 ISL International Congress of Lymphology in Brazil, Dr. Ez met Dr. Castley-Smith in person. Out of curiosity, Dr. Ez asked him how he came up with the figures about the lymphatic system rarely occupying more than 0.5% of the space in the textbooks of medicine, surgery, pathology, or anatomy. Dr. Castley-Smith said he simply added up all the pages of total content as well as the number of pages on lymphology and did the easy math for himself. Slide. In 1989, the American Medical Association Home Medical Encyclopedia includes the following statement about the albumin. The large size of the protein molecules prevents them from escaping from the blood into the tissues. Still publishing and teaching Starling's myth with the current destruction by disease. Doctors have sick family members too. They're not to blame. When a doctor's family member gets cancer, if there's anything they could do to help them, they would. So to keep this away from the public, they had to keep it away from the doctors too. Slide. What scientists know? Time Magazine, February 23rd, 2004, cover story. The secret killer. The word secret also suggests somebody knows about it, but has kept it quiet. Subtitle, the surprising link between inflammation and heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases. They broke one of their own rules by printing this. The rule is they're just not supposed to take very different diseases like heart attacks, cancer, and Alzheimer's and say they have the same cause. When asked why not, they say, we're just not supposed to. So again, it's very scientific. They're just not supposed to. It's very funny. But even in this article, they said, we think it's the case. We think this is the case, but we're just not supposed to say that for sure. And we've seen articles like this come and go for many years. Surprisingly, we're just not supposed to rules are a common, sort of a common theme in certain circles. Slide. What scientists know? Blood tests for mean albumin levels. 55 grams per liter equals 125-year lifespan. 39 grams per liter equals 65-year lifespan. But why? What causes the albumin levels to drop in the blood? We've given you enough information to answer this for yourself. What many modern scientists who are focused in this area of research still don't know. According to PubMed.gov, the National Library of Medicine, millions and millions of dollars have been spent to perform studies on this the past couple of decades. They spent millions to synthesize albumin and have mainly tried to solve this problem as they see it by injecting synthetic albumin directly into the blood. Their efforts to solve the problem this way have only proven over and over to increase the mortality rate, the death rate. Why? If you can understand why, when after billions of dollars spent over the past couple of decades, top scientists still don't know why, that makes you kind of special in our opinion. This actually proves we've taken you out of what we describe as the medical dark ages. So why, you guys? Where do the blood proteins go? Why do they drop? Well, when you've already created a weak spot, which is a positive pressure blowout of excess albumin around the cells, like blowing up a balloon, putting an external source of albumin in the blood just increases the blowout and kills people even faster. We've got to remove the excess albumin from the blowout around the cells, which is what was causing the albumin levels in the blood to drop in the first place. Slide. Dr. Joseph Walsh, MD. For over 40 years, he's taken previously helpless cerebral palsy, MS, and polio patients out of wheelchairs many times on the first treatment, simply by putting electrodes up and down the spine. None of these diseases are big money makers like cancer is, so they let him keep going. Slide. Dr. Bjorn Nordenstrom, MD, Discover Magazine, April 1986, cover story, Electric Man. His credentials read like a who's who in modern medicine. He figured out how to do biopsies without physically cutting the tumor open, but using a needle to pull out the tissue sample. They also made other advancements in modern medicine, which are still used today. Karolinska Institute is currently ranked in the top 10 best universities to study medicine in the world and produces more than 40% of all academic medical research in Sweden. The Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institute awards the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine. He was a member of the Nobel Assembly from 1967 to 1986, and he was the chairman of the Nobel Assembly in 1985, meaning he was actually the leader of the Nobel Assembly comprised of 50 top medical research scientists. He was also head of diagnostic radiology at Karolinska Institute, and he noticed auras showing up in ordinary x-rays of cancer tumors. We're not even talking about Kirlian photography, just regular x-rays. He had another amazing new idea out of this, which was to use the biopsy needle as an electrode and run some tests with electricity going through it while it was already in the tumor to pull out the tissue sample. He thought he might learn something from the tests about why some of the x-rays of tumors had an aura and why others did not. He took this new idea to the head of the hospital, and they approved it only for terminal cases, which were already given up for dead. Slide. With terminal cancer victims, electrodes in tumors. It didn't take him long to make a big discovery. As soon as he put the positive charge on the needle that was in the tumor, it didn't matter where the ground or negative was placed in the body. The swelling always dissipated out of the tumor. Again, the word tumor means to swell. Without swelling, we can't have a tumor. So we started reversing terminal cancer over and over again. With all the publicity on the front cover of Discover magazine, it says right there, and if you can read it, we can't zoom in on this particular slide, but we will on the video later. Dr. Bjorn Nordenstrom claims to have found in the human body a heretofore unknown universe of electrical activity that's the very foundation of the healing process and is as critical to well-being as the flow of blood. If he's right, he's made the most profound biomedical discovery of the century. At this time, he was also featured on the Discovery Channel on TV, nationally syndicated, and cancer being such a big moneymaker, they told him, quit or we'll fire you. He not only refused to quit, but also self-published his work in a book, which, just not supposed to rules, certainly apply in the medical world. He lost his job as the head of the Karolinska Institute, was ostracized by his colleagues, meaning they made a big example out of him. Even his best friends disowned him. He moved to China for the remainder of his career, where doctors were more open to his work and where he continued to bless many lives until he passed away December 31st, 2006. Can you do it without the electrodes? Come learn how the energy in the body really works. Slide. Dorothy Howard, from 10 months old to 65 years alive, she had a lack of oxygen in her left leg, which pulled her heel up off the floor 3 inches. She was racked with pains of polio. For 4 months' time, watching and learning from the videos in the Applied Lymphology course, she stood with her left heel on the floor, 3 inches taller, pain out of her back, moving her toes with a feeling back in her left leg, which had been paralyzed. She worked on herself for 5 minutes every hour, every day for 4 months. After 65 years struggling with polio. Slide. Perry Barker, former mayor of Pleasant View, wasn't able to be on his feet for more than 3 minutes at a time for 2.5 years due to lower back pain. His brother, also a surgeon, said they would not operate on him because it would not help and they'd just further cripple him. After learning this new science, he went back to work on his back and was totally pain-free within 48 hours. Slide. Disclaimer, again, we don't claim credit for the miracle of healing. This course is for educational purposes only. Caution, procrastination is the leading cause of dead people. We say come and experience it because our results speak louder than we can legally. Well, the results speak louder than words, and we can't make certain health claims. So the results are just a bonus. But come and experience what happens with the tumors, pain, alignment issues, and other issues for yourself and for other students in a real live workshop that guides you through the techniques with the rest of the group. That's the only way you'll really understand and know what the typical results actually are for yourself anyway. Slide. What activates lymphatics? Oh, you were on it already. Go back. Back again. Okay, what activates lymphatics? We're not going to take time to give all our secrets in this particular presentation. Without giving too many details here, internally, it's deep breathing, bouncing, and inverting. The lymph vessels are lined with one-way check valves. Anytime there's less pressure above the valves than below, like at the top of a bounce, they open and push fluid through a little bit at a time. When you were a little kid, how did it make you feel jumping on the bed? Good, right? Come to the Race for the Truth event to learn our secrets about bouncing and to experience what bouncing is all about. Slide. What activates lymphatics internally? The laying on of hands, stroking, compressing tissues, and massage. You've got to come to the Power Heal workshops to learn and experience our many Power Heal techniques. Slide. Energy is the key to unlock the blood proteins. The most powerful healing techniques we've ever seen integrate energy, the key. Remember, we're only dealing with the amount of energy produced by the cells, which is not a whole lot of energy to begin with. This is why we can do the techniques we've developed by ourselves at home, at work, and at play, without them costing us 1 penny to actually do them. You don't have to spend $5,000, $10,000, or $30,000 on electrical healing equipment and beds, which eventually break down. You can't take them with you everywhere you go all the time anyway. Who's ready to experience a Power Heal demo? Raise your hand. Well, we're not going to include that on this video. You have to come to a live event to experience instant mass healing developed by Dr. Ez. You can also order all our program first to begin your empowerment experience faster. You can do that online at powerheal.com. At our Discover Power event, we share some powerful secrets of using energy, and it's integrated into all of our techniques. Sometimes at our events, you'll learn things that can only be taught live, in person, like experiencing the instant mass healing demo. Others you may only find in our educational materials, which is fine because it's all designed to give you the best experience possible. Slide. Oh, back. Forward. Okay. Secrets of leaders. This science has helped many leaders get started on their paths. Several of our empowered students have become very successful and well-known leaders. Max Gerson, his tapes still quote Dr. West, still today. The Gerson Institute, the Cancer Centers, Wayne Dyer, Anthony Robbins, Kevin Trudeau. We could list several women here too, chiropractors, naturopaths, empowerment leaders who have also taught many millions of others. Who will be the next great success? Are you in? Our goal, help transform the world within 7 years. Slide. Race for the truth. Well, oh yeah, that's, 1 second. That's it right there. Perfect. Will Green. At first, just a typical massage therapist doing 20 massages a week. Within a month after obtaining the applied lymphology course, he doubled his business to 40 and then 60 to 70 massages per week. There still hasn't been a muscle come to Will he hasn't been able to fix ever since. Will was the founder and president of the International Massage Association, which became the largest massage association in the USA. Slide. Race for the truth. Use fun bouncing to energize every cell in your body. Best if you bring a mini trampoline if you can, or at least a yoga ball to bounce on. Discover power, universal healing activation meditation. We usually do Race for the Truth and Discover Power in one big evening event, which is followed by a Power Heal, all-day live hands-on training to cover 13 workshops that day. Slide. Back up. There we go. Power Heal, 13-module dynamic and complete healing system. We cover the entire body from head to toe many different ways. The areas you'll be trained in: breathing, pain relief starts with oxygen, smashed fingers, broken bones, scrapes, cuts, and burns. Lymphatic system checkup, neck and headaches, the head, shoulders, hips, and sciatic pain, spine, knees, ankles, feet and Achilles tendon, edema, breast lumps and tumors, hernias and hiatal hernias, and other internal organs. If you don't show up, you won't have any idea what you missed. Dr. Ez actually reattached a ligament. His PCL in his left knee 21 years ago was completely ripped out of its top insertion from a wave runner accident. Both wave runners were totaled with his knee in between them. He was T-boned. One he was sitting on was completely knocked off his chassis. He had all kinds of damage in the knee, and lateral ligament, which is also one of the 3 main ligaments in the knee. The PCL, along with a PCL, completely ripped out. The doctor said without surgery, it would just be absorbed. He'd be lucky if it didn't start locking up on him in the process. His plan was an aggressive plan to be doing everything else he's doing within 6 months, which he did. Within 6 months, University of Utah Yell leader doing standing back tucks, basing pyramids that are 2.5 high, all going up at the same time, where most of the strength comes from the legs or the bases. Doing everything he's doing before, drilled standing back tucks on cue for a week straight, drilled on cue. All the partner stunning, everything else. Within 6 weeks, had his full range of motion back. 6 weeks, not even 6 months, like they say, is what it usually takes, with or without surgery. And with a new motorcycle accident, we have a new MRI showing the PCL is reattached. It sometimes takes another accident for people to get evidence to show. He'd always taught that he believed that PCL had been attached because he'd been able to continue to do everything else that he'd been able to. But he didn't know for sure because he didn't have the evidence. Now we have another MRI. So we've got the proof that the PCL is reattached. 21 years ago, reattached the PCL without surgery. I don't know anyone else with that particular success story. Reattaching where they've been completely severed. he was shown how to produce and transport adult stem cells without needles, without any like herbs or other products, and without urinating on himself or drinking his own urine, without doing bone marrow qigong, which basically all other categories fall into. And bone marrow qigong, it would take a lot more persistence to do it that way. Trust us on that one. But using a simple technique that is fairly effortless, that he's been using that to help people regenerate cartilage in their knees, whether they've been bone on bone, all kinds of things. If you don't show up at this training, or at least start, order that technique's also included. This whole training was captured on video. Everything listed in the 13 module system was captured on video. We recently redid it in a television studio, 3-camera shoot, very well, professional done. It's also included online. We have those videos. You can go get them right now. But if you don't, you won't know what you're missing. The Applied Lymphology course. Next slide. Applied Lymphology course, Power Heal U, new updated online version. Experts have been predicting CDs and DVDs being a thing of the past in the near future, so we jumped ahead of the curve. CDs and DVDs are already being phased out, especially with the benefits of new online technology. Small laptops, tablets, and phones don't even have a disk drive. CDs and DVDs get scratched, misplaced, and are outdated as soon as another update is available. And since we recently produced the 12 new videos on the techniques alone, everyone with the old disc programs are outdated. However, with the online course, you'll get updated for free and instantly as the course is upgraded over time, which makes it more and more valuable over time. Plus, you'll have the added benefit of having access on your smartphone or laptop, anything that has internet access anywhere in the world, which can be vital in emergency situations. There's a staircase of education. Books, audios, and videos are all steps, with live training at the very top. Experience is quite different in nature than information you get from reading a book. Experience is king when it comes to practical application. Master-apprentice relationship has always been and always will be the most powerful form of education. Without the training Dr. Ez has developed, people spend their entire lives reinventing the wheel and still don't get it. You're blessed. You can begin to experience the power of this program for yourself, and you don't have to push yourself too hard. You can experience Dr. Ez, allow him to walk you through the process step by step. This is what your next option is. Are you in? Next slide. Certified lymphologist degree. If you're impressed, or if you think what we've shown you is unique so far, or that no one else is talking this way, you'll really be thinking that as you experience the training. Race for the truth, discover power, and power heal. But from what we've covered just during the introduction, do you think it would be kind of cool if you could actually add a CL behind your name? Since we're the authority, our certified lymphologist degree adds a unique and special kind of authority for how we can speak and represent ourselves. Would you like to know how easy we've made it for you to qualify for the certified lymphologist degree? Let's cover this last subject real quick. We figured out what questions most people have, and also found the answers to most people's questions. We put over 250 questions in an exam, put the answers in a book. Each question gives you the page number in the book where to find the answers. Qualification number 1, just attend the live workshops, including the Power Heal training. And number 2, complete an open book exam. If you do that first, you'll actually get a lot more out of the live training. That exam, where each question gives you the page number in the book to find the answers, you just look up the answers and write them down. Some people start to feel nervous or scared at first when we start talking about taking an exam. But how many of you like open book exams, and where the questions tell you what page number in the book to find the answer? Oh, so easy. Some may feel like you're cheating, but you're not cheating. For many decades, this has actually been a proven method as one of the fastest ways in the world to learn. So it doesn't discredit anything. It only adds more credit that we use it. If you feel sorry about it being too easy, print out the exam and black out all the page numbers. What is screwed up is the public school system. Dr. West received his master's in public school administration, and he discovered many problems with the public school system. They wait until the final exam on the last day of school just to pass or fail you. Why do they wait to the last day of school to give you the final exam just to pass or fail you? If their main goal is to simply pass or fail people, that's what they should continue to do. We are not here just to pass or fail you, but to help you learn, and learn quick. Future schools may give the final exam on the first day of school like we do, give them the page numbers in the book where to find the answers, and let them look them up and write them down. Even with it being open book, you still have to take the time to complete it. You'll still find that most of the effort will be happening between your ears. This type of open book exam is the fastest way we know of to learn the theory, while you write the answers by hand. The way the right and left brain work, it's miraculous what's retained, what you handwrite. And the fastest way we know of to actually learn the practical application is at the live training. Get the experience. Or at least start, and you can actually start doing that with the videos, but it's the very best is live. Lifetime benefits. After you learn our techniques, they won't cost one dime to actually apply them. They'll be free for life. If someone could have figured out a way to put a meter on these kinds of self-help techniques, or to be able to charge people every time they applied one of these techniques, maybe they would have decided to go ahead and teach it in the public school system. Seems like whatever you can't put a meter on, though, they don't teach in the public schools. But they will be free for life for you after you know how. We're sort of giving away the farm here, the free healing farm. In 1974, Dr. West started a pain relief clinic in Mesa, Arizona. He was a naturopath and naturopath. From the start of his intention was to teach people how to heal themselves. So the first class he put together took some time to get that list together, and he packed his clinic so full he couldn't see out. The following week it was empty because they didn't need him anymore. There was no repeat business. And it took him a couple weeks later, a lot of work finding a new group of people for another class, and he packed his clinic so full he couldn't see out again. And again, the following week it was empty. Most people never came back to even say thank you. When Dr. West's family saw how all the other naturopath and naturopath students who were in his same graduating class were enjoying life, having lots of repeat business, their business was flourishing, and they saw Dr. West giving up the repeat business for teaching his clients how to heal themselves. Many of his family members told him he was crazy. They said, don't teach him, just treat him. They don't appreciate it enough. Dr. West had already experienced the greater joy of watching them be able to heal themselves just as fast and easy as he could heal them. So Dr. West told them, if I can't teach, I quit. It's just no fun treating anymore. If you just go get healed or to have someone else help you, you'll always have to go get help. Once you know how to help yourself, you're empowered. You'll never know how much has been sacrificed to continue to deliver empowerment beyond healing. If not now, when? So decide now and let us know. Are you in? That's it.